She's off.
Okay.
All right, we're live. I guess we have no way of knowing who's on the live stream here, but I did hear there are a handful of people on YouTube and also on Facebook.
That's the word on the street.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. I'm just going to wait a minute as there might be some stragglers coming on, and then we'll get started. You guys are free to post any questions that you might have during the session. We'll do a little intro and possibly talk a little bit about Argo and what's going on, and then we'll hand it over to you guys and answer any questions you might have. I don't have my favorite drink here tonight. Just tea. I've been a bit under the weather since coming back from the BVI.
I'm on the water myself. Probably for the best for the moment.
Yeah.
So I am on a boat.
Where are you, Dave? I never know where you are.
I'm in Solomons, Maryland.
Okay, heading down the Chesapeake Bay. I thought you would have been further south by now. It's mid-November and you're still hanging around in the Chesapeake Bay.
Well, it's because I was trying to buy a boat. I failed, but I was trying to buy a boat.
Yeah.
So
I just thought you would have moved quicker. Once that didn't happen, you would have got out of here and gotten south, but you'll get there.
I'll get there. I moved as fast as I could, and I actually I'm docked right now at a yacht club in Solomons. I promised them a concert on my way north. I said this fall when I'm going south, I'll give you a concert, and so I'm making good on my promise, and that's going to happen tomorrow. So
okay.
Once Saturday, well, actually Saturday the weather's not going to be very good, so we're probably not going to be able to drop lines. But Sunday the winds will let up and we'll be able to get going. So, hey, you're Captain Jeff, aren't you, with Argo?
That is right. I guess we should get started at 7:02 and welcome everybody that dropped in. This is Argo's first live Q&A. I am Captain Jeff. Many of you have probably seen my numerous emails, onboarding, and also newsletters. We like to keep you well informed. Apologize to those that maybe aren't big on email, but we do like to keep in front of you as much as we can. Joining me is Argo Ambassador Dave Rowe. Met Dave about a year and a half ago. He just wandered in the Chesapeake Bay, gave me a call, had questions about Argo. And he has been on our team ever since. He's a full-time cruiser. He's done the Great Loop. He has been living on his boat ever since the Great Loop. So it's been 5+ years since then. And a wealth of information, not only helping me with the development of the app, but I think any of our users. He's on the helpline, so he's always available. To help anyone that's got questions out there. There's more I can talk about. Dave mentioned he's got a concert. He's also a singer. He's got a following on Facebook, not only for his cruising, but also his singing. And happy to have you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to join you on this thing, Jeff. This is the first, hopefully, of many. We'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, we will see how this goes. We don't have a big group. Didn't expect a big group, but we wanted to get started. Planning on them being monthly. If they go really well, we can bump it up to weekly. But the format of the Q&A, I'd like an opportunity, I think, to talk about what we're doing with the app, any features that we're going to be coming out with or just came out with. Also, any bugs, and I hate to admit it, but we do have bugs that find their way into the app as we're continually trying to improve the app. So just to make you aware of those that are there that we know of and that we're fixing. Maybe we'll get into doing some demos at one point too. Any boating news that we think is relevant, we can bring that up. We can answer questions relative to things that are going on. But the real purpose is just a Q&A session so we can answer questions from our users.
Yep. I'm looking forward to a good one. Do we have any questions yet?
No questions yet. We got a note here from Bruce McManus, just saying, "Hey, I'm on. I'm happy to be here, Southport, North Carolina. So good to see you. Good to see you too, Bruce."
It's great. That's great. It looks like I'm just bringing up a couple of screens here so that I can see what's going on myself. And it looks like we have a few viewers on YouTube and a few on Facebook. So hey,
It's good.
Well, here's a familiar person asking a question. Stacy's asking, "What are the Argo features in development that we are most excited about?" Well,
that's a good lead in. I mean, we have been adding a lot of features, as many of you know. It's been 5 years, a lot of things the app does right now. But the development team has really been focused probably the last 6 weeks in trying to add waypoints to the auto routing so that you can not only add stops along the way, but if you get your auto route and you want to edit the route, pull it away from a shallow area that you don't want to be too close to, it'll give you the opportunity to customize the auto routes. But in addition, in order to do that, we have pretty much jumped in and recoded all of the navigational side of the app. And the good news about that, it'll be easier for us to add future features. It'll allow us to make the app much better in terms of an offline app. It works great online. It also works good offline, but it could be a lot better. And our hope is that this coming year, it's going to work just as well offline as it does online. So that's what our developers are working on right now, and you should see something coming out before the end of the year in terms of waypoints and improved offline capability. Performance is another thing we've been very focused on, not only iOS, but in particular Android. Android is a real challenge. We've been throughout the year trying to improve the performance. With our last release, I think you'll see a big improvement in terms of the overall performance on the Android devices. Older ones that haven't worked so well now work. I can't say we're done with our performance enhancements. It's always something, a work in progress. We hope to make the app as responsive as possible.
I can actually vouch for the fact that the new Android version is definitely it's got some more under the hood. It's a lot faster, more usable, user friendly. I'm pleased with that release.
Yeah, I wish I could say Android devices were easy, but there's so many different flavors. It provides a challenge for our developers, but we're up for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Android in general, people ask us all the time, what device should I buy? Should I? I really don't want to buy an Apple. What Android device should I get? And I tell people to spend Apple money when they buy an Android device. And as a matter of fact, I wrote, I think it's on our blog on the website, isn't it, Jeff?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
An article about how to select an Android device, because when you start getting into the similar dollar amounts between Apple and Android, that's when you start seeing similar degrees of performance, and that's so important to really squeezing every last bit out of the app.
Yeah, it's you spend a lot of money on a boat, and there's no reason you can't have the best available hardware devices to support your navigation apps when you're out there.
Exactly.
I was going to talk also about some of the unknown features. Like I said, it's been 5 years since we first released the app, and it has evolved tremendously. I like it to be a simple, easy to use app. And maybe the one thing that's probably most complicating about the Argo app these days is it has so many features. You have to spend some time and get to know them. And there's going to be unknown features that could be very handy, but you're unaware of them. So I was going to go through a couple of those. Maybe that'll prompt some questions, but if you feel free to drop questions in at any time.
Absolutely.
One of the things we released last year was a desktop version, and many people may know about it, but they don't know how to get to it. The easiest way is to go to our website, argonav.io. You can Google it, Argo Navigation, it'll come up. But there's a login at the upper right-hand corner of our website that will bring you to our desktop or our web app version. And from there, you can log in just as you would log in on the mobile app. It's great for planning. It doesn't have all the features of the mobile app, but you can create auto routes. You can save them to your captain's log. You can export them to your Garmin or Raymarine through GPX files. It's a handy tool for planning if you want to be on a larger screen. And we're continuing to improve that. That's one of the things you're going to see in the next few weeks. Improve libraries, so the responsiveness of the desktop version should be better. Work in progress, just like the mobile app. A couple of quick tips, I guess, for the mobile app, particularly if you're a new user. Really simple one. Tap on the user cursor. That'll give you your current location and also the ability to add a heading line. I get questions all the time. It'd be nice if we had a better way of seeing my user cursor, a heading line. That's how you add a heading line. You just tap on it and there's a toggle switch there. But getting your lat long, you can also share it. So you want to let friends, family, or someone else, Coast Guard, know where you are. You tap on that cursor and very quickly you can get the coordinates of where you currently are. Another quick feature, which I assume most of you have found now, but if not, if you would like to go course up, you don't want to have the map and you're heading down or heading off to the left. You want to be heading up on your phone or laptop, or on your tablet. You tap on the compass. It's a toggle. It'll switch from north up to course up. Very easy. You can play with it. And then it'll stay that way until you switch it back.
A compass. We had some fun things coming to that little thing on the screen, don't we? Do we want to let people in on any of that?
Yeah, we sure can. We've had people trying to figure out the heading in which they're going based on the small compass that we have. And of course, it was really never intended for that. It was really more intended as a indication of if you're going north or not going north. But we heard them, and we have made that larger. And we're going to put your actual heading or course over ground in the compass itself. So you can see the direction you're going, whether it's north up or course up. It'll give you an indication of the heading that you're going in degrees. So
I'm really excited about this feature, Jeff. I got to tell you, it's just nice. I mean, I'm the guy that has more than one tablet at the helm. I have at least two, sometimes three, and I also have my MFD. And it's nice to know what heading or course each device is actually seeing, because sometimes you have GPS errors and things like that. And just being able to say, well, this tablet and this tablet agree on a course here, but this one over here is not. This is out in left field, so I'm going to ignore this one for right now. It's just being able to see that a kind of agreement between the instruments is just so huge. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, Dave does use multiple apps. He's an advocate of using multiple apps, but you do need to get to know how each of them work. Argo may be the only one that didn't have the course over ground, so yeah, he's happy to see it coming. And soon after that, we hope to have a bearing to your next point and time to your next point. So those that are following a course and they want to know exactly that direction to get to the next point along the route, we hope to add that as well.
That's awesome. It looks like we have another question here.
All right.
When will the updated compass come out, Jeff?
Good question. I was actually looking at and testing it today. This trouble showing the comment there, but there we have it from Joanne. Yeah, we were testing it today, so I suspect that it will be released, if not next week, the week after. Usually it takes time. We get it tested. We still need to make a few more tweaks to it, and then we'll push it onto the App Store for their approval. So that usually takes a week or so. So it's coming before, should I say before Thanksgiving? Certainly
that's probably safe. I got to go pull my bread out of the oven. Excuse me one moment. You talk to the people for a second, Jeff. I'm baking bread on a boat.
If we run out of time, we'll get Dave to sing for us. The other thing I wanted to talk about was when you're navigating, and I get this from a lot of people, they want to know why they're going right off the map. You know, they recenter, but as they're moving, they just run right off the map. Why is that? Why isn't it staying in the center? The way the app works is you have to center yourself. So hit the center button. At that point, it'll keep you in the same place. If you happen to touch the phone or the tablet, that will take the center. You'll see the recenter button come up, and the auto recentering will be off. So you have to do that again. Now there is a way of having that automatically recenter for you in our settings. So if you find that you're always having to recenter when you're navigating, when you're moving, there is a auto recentering feature in the navigation settings.
And how often and how quickly, I should say, does that kick in?
Not right away. It gives you 7 to 10 seconds. So if you slide the chart, you're looking at something, you move it again, it won't do anything for 7 to 10 seconds after you stop moving the chart. So it shouldn't be too annoying. But for those that find that they're always running off the map, it's nice to know you can set an auto recenter there.
Yep. Nice feature.
Oh, looks like we got a bunch of questions coming in.
Well, we have Mark Hart out in Ohio. That's not a question so much as he's just excited to use Argo next summer. I'm going to guess, Mark, that your boat is on the hard already. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's chilly here in Maryland.
Maybe 75% of the country is on the hard at this point. But
exactly.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, Argo didn't work so well on the river system, but it worked great on the ICW, worked great on the coast here in the Chesapeake Bay. But we have spent a lot of time making sure that we've got all the mile markers, and also the routing works well within the river system.
Yeah, it's looking great. It's the IENC that we finally brought in, and I'm really excited with how the Western Rivers came together.
Another comment, I guess, from a user, Carl. Yeah, it's good and bad. We don't sit on our updates. We're constantly pushing things out. The problem with that is it has created bugs for us.
We break things.
The developers break things. They add 3 or 4 things and they break something. So hopefully, and that's our goal for 2025, is to have a much more stable, high-performing app. We're still going to add features to it, but really going to be focused on making sure that it's a very high-performing, stable app in 2025.
Works great on the Cape Fear River. All right.
Yeah, you've been up that river a few times.
I'm headed there. I'm actually that's where we're aiming for right now. That's our first major stop. We may actually spend the winter there. We haven't decided, but I just love Wilmington. It's a great town. Looking forward to being down there and eating at the Copper Penny again. I love that spot.
Just a comment about the Bahamas. We had a user recently down there using Argo in the Bahamas, and I think he discovered Argo is not quite ready for the Bahamas. It'll get you there, but if you're looking for detailed depth data, right around the islands, NOAA, and it's not us, it's NOAA does not have the greatest of data. So we're going to be looking for other sources. We know a few, and improving Argo so that it works better, not only in the Bahamas, but the BVIs as well.
Right. And it looks like Pat here is excited about the Great Lakes. Well, I mean, we're excited about the Great Lakes. We just got the Canadian ENC added to the app. We're still in beta with that, right, Jeff?
We are, yes.
Yeah. So that means that our Canadian users finally have some really good data in Argo to hang their hat on. We've got all of the markers and the what am I trying to say? All the depth data. So it's really looking great.
Yeah, I was out at the Chicago show a year and a half ago. That's where my daughter posted that 10-second TikTok video that went viral. But it was working great then. And we were demoing at the Chicago show, but it works great in all of the Great Lakes, both on the US side and the Canadian side. The Canadian data is something that's still a little work in progress in terms of all the lakes. But that's where we're integrating all of the Canadian. The official hydrographic services office is getting us all of the depth data, chart data for all of the lakes that they have charted out so that we have the official Canadian ENC. And that will certainly be in place before boats come off the hard, next spring.
Right. And a follow on to the Great Lakes. It looks like we have a question from Richard here asking if the Pacific Northwest is all updated as well. I don't know if he's asking about specifically the Canadian data, which we were certainly lacking up there before. But yeah, it's looking good. I think
it is looking good. I think the only comment I'll make is, current is a big navigational feature that you need to be aware of when you're boating in the Pacific Northwest. And we heard that loud and clear when we were at the Seattle show last year. But we do have some current information now from NOAA, but we're going to be continuing to add and improve the current stations that we have in the Pacific Northwest. And we do have the Canadian data as well. We're going to be making sure that it's all accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to bring in prediction as well. Right now, it's just current right now.
Get a forecasted for tidal fluctuations and current
exactly.
Speed. Yep. Well, we are getting a few questions just rolling in. Using your unit. Okay, what Carl is talking about here. Not too many people know about this unit. We have a hardware unit that we developed to help us crowdsource depth data. It's still kind of in beta. We've got 25 units. We've got some on some towboats down in Smith Mountain Lake that have been operating for about a year now. Carl was someone there it is.
Yep.
I think Carl was someone I met at one of the American Great Loop rendezvous a year or so ago, and he volunteered to take one of our units. And Carl, just to tell you, I just met with my team yesterday. We were kind of doing a roundup on where all our units are, which ones are working, which ones are not working. So we'll follow up.
Cumberland Lake. Okay. We are nudie boating this year, and we love the app, and we use it to learn our way around Cumberland Lake. Well, I do. I'm trying to think where Cumberland Lake is. We must have good data there, Jeff.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not familiar if that's Cumberland Lake along the Tennessee area, or that's
That's what I would assume. Now I'm looking at Argo. Let's see here.
yeah. The reason I ask is Argo will work on any inland lake, but we don't necessarily have depth data for all of the lakes. And if we don't have depth data, you won't get the depth shading. You still can create routes. It'll just make sure that you're not going to run into land. So it gets you an ETA, it gets you time and distance to get there. You just have to be cautious about the route itself, and it does warn you. But you could drop pins, you can search for places, and like I said, you can route from a boat ramp to a restaurant or to an anchorage. Did you find Cumberland Lake? Now I'm curious.
I'm looking at. I think it's just a widening of the Cumberland River. If I'm.
He says it's in Kentucky.
Is it in Kentucky? Let me back off here. There's Kentucky. So.
Yeah, because I know, being from Maryland, I know Cumberland, Maryland, but there's no Cumberland Lake in Maryland.
Right. Let's see here. Let's see if I can figure out where I am. That's one of the hard things is actually once you zoom in, which state am I in? No, that's Tennessee. Okay. So this will be a project for later, I guess.
Yeah, Don, we can always, I'm sure if there's depth data there, but if we don't have it, that's why we have these units out there that Dave just showed you. We're hoping to, collect data ourselves if we can't find it from sources and get that on the lakes, particularly the most popular lakes.
And we're also. I was just going to. What's that?
I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to follow on to that. We were also looking at ways of bringing that same functionality into the app too, as well as NEMA support, so that people can actually swap data between devices a little easier.
I mentioned that earlier, and I guess we can. One of our priorities after we get the waypoints into the auto routing is NEMA integration. So you will have an option to integrate Argo in with your NEMA network and get AIS data and other data that you have on your network. So that's a priority, one that Dave has been in my ear about for the last year and a half. I'm tired of getting chewed out by Dave. So I'm going to get integration in there. And having that will also allow us to crowdsource some of the depth data. So
Exactly.
Question here on the BVI. Very good question. It didn't hurt that I was in the BVI last week, and I saw firsthand that we need the depth data. So just like we got the Canadian data, we'll be working with the British to pull in what depth data we have down there. I did collect a bunch of anchorages and places that people go down there, and if they're not in the app, I'm going to be putting in the app personally. But the key, I think, for the app to work well is to get that bathymetry or that depth data in the app. So when will it be there? I'm going to be working on that. Unfortunately, for those that are going down there right now, it's not going to be there very quickly. I'm hoping it's there by this spring. Certainly will be updated by June 25th. So hopefully that answers your question there, Peter. All right, got a question from Bruce, who jumped in early on when we first started. So he joined a Freedom Boat Club. We have a lot of users part of boat clubs, particularly where they're getting a different boat every time they show up. We've been trying to develop a good relationship with some of these boat clubs. I think Argo is a perfect way of supporting their members in terms of providing a safe way for them to navigate in unknown waters, which, with these boat clubs, you can go anywhere pretty much in the United States and get a boat and if you're traveling, take it out for the day. So great. Like, years ago, we assume everybody that's using the app owns their own boat, but that isn't the case anymore. So the question,
he's just commenting that that Freedom Boat Club, at least where he is suggesting that folks try Argo.
I've heard that. I've heard that. It's the same reason why I keep pushing forward is we get comments like that from trainers or deckhands at these boat clubs. They're telling users, to use Argo. That's what they use. All right, we got a question. Maybe I should have Dave answer a question here. What does the yellow line indicate when I map a route?
Well, if you have your boating profile set up properly and you have your draft and your buffer put in there properly, and if you're a powerboat user like me, I at least suggest that your buffer should be double your draft as a minimum. So my boat draws 3.2 feet, so my buffer is 6.4 feet, and Argo will try to keep me in 10 feet of water that way. Now, what that does is when you do plot routes, it color codes the route. So if you see a green line, that's indicating that Argo was able to find you good water through that area that's green. If you see yellow, Argo was able to find you water that is deep enough for your draft, but not your draft plus your buffer. So it's deep enough. You have probably a safe route, but you should be careful. If you see red, it indicates that Argo either doesn't have good data in that location or that Argo could not find you enough water for your boat, or at least at low water conditions. So those are important distinctions to be made, those nifty color codings that we put on the routes.
It was a good question. And I see so many of our users that add a 3-foot draft and a 1-foot buffer. And they're the ones that I worry about, because it's going to create a route for you that is very, very close to your draft, and that's not what you want. So,
right,
as Dave says, maybe 2 times your draft. So make sure the Argo is not going to create a route that necessarily is in that deep of water. If it thinks it needs to go a little bit into the yellow to get you there a little quicker, it'll do that. But it's not going to take you where you're below your draft. And if you do see red, that's a case where we either do not have depth data or there's just no other way to get there based on your draft. So it's important to pay attention to the draft that you put in there as well as the buffer, and you can play with that and see how it changes the route.
Yep, absolutely.
Good question. I was going to talk a little about auto routing and how it works, but we can always save that for next time. But that's an important part of our auto routing is the draft and the buffer.
Exactly. It's sort of key. And we could talk about that all day, all night. But I see that we're already further than we thought we were going to be. So it's good we still have questions coming in.
Yeah, well, Pete, we'll definitely take you up on that. When we get the BVI data in there, we'll let you know. Or I might have to go back to the BVI myself. It was a good week. I've been going to the Annapolis Sailboat Show the last 4 or 5 years, and it's an international show, and it seems like not half the people, but there are a lot of people that live a different life than I'm used to, live on their boat, and they're all heading to the BVI for the winter. So it's quite a community, I think, that lives on their boat and heads south into the islands for the winter months.
Yeah, who can blame them?
All right, we got Yes, my daughter did make a video. Oh, okay.
He's waiting for his moment of fame, his 15 minutes, Jeff.
Yeah, Todd, I know we got a couple of really good videos my daughter did, and they were they weren't funny. They were very helpful, I think, from our promotional standpoint. And yeah, we needed to go viral.
That's right.
Unfortunately, you picked the wrong daughter. It was my other daughter that that did the viral video. But we appreciate your words, at the boat show. We had a lot of fun with that. So, not seeing too many more questions coming in. If anyone's got any final questions, we can take them. And we were thinking this first show, if we went 30 minutes, it'd be a good one. I can close with one final comment, something recent when we added to the app, contour lines. I had been hearing from people for years about why don't you have contour lines? Not just fishermen. They're just used to seeing contour lines. And this year we did add them. But unfortunately for about a month there, you had to know to go in and actually turn them on. So I think our last release or the one before that, we turned them on by default, and it should have affected everybody, so that from whether you're a free user or a premium user, you can see and you can go in and turn them off so you just see depth shading, but you have your option of whether you want contour lines or not, but by default you're going to see them. I believe something changed in the app. To use it the old way, should we choose manual or auto route? I don't know what changed in the app with regard to our routing. So Todd, you'll have to expand upon that. I'm not aware of any changes, but we have changes coming, but we haven't changed anything that should have affected the routing in any way that we're aware of.
Yeah, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around what that might be, but I mean, maybe we should hand out right now our support email address, Jeff, so that people can, if they want to expound upon this stuff, email us later. It shows a white line across land instead of the way I should navigate. That sounds like an error.
Well, I don't know whether he's talking about a route or he's recording a track, and that white, and it is happening right now. That is a bug. So if you're out navigating and it's not actually tracking your position as you go, and you look back on your track and it's a straight line from where you started, that's a bug that we are working on. In fact, this whole recoding of the navigation, which includes tracks and routes and adding waypoints, that's going to fix all of this. Fortunately, we're sort of a bit in the off season, so I don't think it's affecting too many people. But that's a bug that you don't see all the time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. If you're creating an auto route and it's going across land, that's an issue. Either you're by accident typing or tapping on manual route, or you're not connected to the server. But we do hear that occasionally, but not too often.
Now, Jeff and I both man the help desk. So if you select help in the app, or if you email us either from the Argo website, or you can just email us. It's support@argonav.io, is it not, Jeff?
That's right. Yep.
So you can just drop us an email if there's anything, any questions, comments, anything that's just sort of twisting your mind up and you want to know about Argo. You are looking at the two guys that answer those questions and deal with it. So,
well, you get emails from me all the time. you get emails from me all the time, and I do have people that reach out to me directly. But if you want to reach out to Dave directly, you're welcome to. He's at dave@argonav.io. I'm Jeff at Argo Nav. So it's very easy to reach both of us. But we are checking the help desk line, as you guys well know, 24/7, and look forward to answering any questions, helping you out any way we can.
And it doesn't even just, it doesn't have to be just Argo questions either. If you have a general navigation question, or you're going to an area you don't know and you want some insight into that area, feel free. Rules of the road questions, whatever they are, we're here to help. So
with that, I'd like to thank everybody for dialing in on our first live Q&A session. Hopefully we can grow it from here and get some good questions. But like Dave said, we probably won't do this again until December. Any questions along the way, just fire them at us. So thanks again for showing up, and look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
All right, Dave.
We'll see you next month.
When are you heading south? When are you heading south after your concert?
Yeah. So the weather is looking like it's going to blow like hell on Saturday. So I'll probably sit still on Saturday, but Sunday it's supposed to lay down, and we're going to be making tracks just as soon as we have an opening. So
all right. Well, safe travels.
Thanks, my friend. We'll be in touch.